So this probably will hands down be the hardest video that I have ever recorded on this channel. I wanted to do this video because I want to bring awareness, and I just feel ready to share my story with you guys. It's taken me around 10 years to be able to speak about this topic, just for a number of reasons. Firstly, I didn't realise that I had actually experienced homelessness, and secondly, I just didn't know how to talk about it. Sometimes when you go through a difficult time in your life, it's sometimes quite hard to get the words out of your mouth. I, on so many occasions, tried to talk about it to people, but something was just stopping me. I just couldn't get the words out of my mouth. Homelessness can happen in many ways. So for example, you can be in temporary accommodation, so emergency housing, or even a B&B. You can be on the streets, or for example, you could be sofa surfing, which is the kind of homelessness that I experienced. I have experienced homelessness twice in my life. First time was when I was around 6 years old, and the second time was when I was 14 to 15. When you live through these experiences, you don't tend to put a label on it. Like, I would never have thought that I was homeless at the time. We were so fortunate enough to be able to stay with my grandparents, and without my grandparents, I honestly don't know how the situation would have panned out. So I shared a room with my sister. There was a single bed and a mattress on the floor. We used to take it in turns every single night between the bed and mattress. As I was with my family and grandparents, the situation wasn't bad like it is for some people. A lot of people have to go to B&Bs and emergency accommodation, and in some situations 5 of you can be in one room. So looking back, I am so grateful that my grandparents were able to put us up. However, living at my grandparents was still tricky, as there was about 8 of us in one household. Like, sharing a bathroom was hard. I remember waking up super early every single morning so that I can get ready for school. Also privacy, I had absolutely no privacy, and especially when I was a teenager, it was tricky because I was studying for my GCSEs, and when you're a teenager you're going through changes, and I just remember finding it really hard. I remember getting quite frustrated. My emotions were erratic. I was acting out. But at the end of the day, I had my brothers and sisters and my parents, and they were a great support. We never wanted for anything, and again, without my brothers and sisters, I probably emotionally would have been much more in a darker place. It is believed that most people are 2 paychecks away from becoming homeless. So it can happen to anyone. Because this happened twice in my life, I spent a lot of my teenagehood and childhood very anxious, because I was just so scared that it was all going to happen again. I had panic attacks, anxiety, I felt anxious all the time. I always used to have in the back of my head, when is it going to happen next? As we moved a few times, you lose possessions on the way. To this day, I don't know where my family photos are really, or videos, or little boxes that I made when I was a kid, like little tapes of me singing. I have lost all of that. I have no idea where it is, which I think that is very upsetting to me, because I'm never gonna get those memories back. I have on many occasions experienced bailiffs come to the door, actually more than probably I can count on both of my hands. That's probably a story for another video, but seeing your furniture on your front lawn is the most devastating thing ever. I would never want to go through those emotions ever again. I am still to this day petrified of white vans. If a white van comes up my driveway, I get anxiety. It sounds so silly, but going through that process is hard. So hard. It's actually soul destroying. Yeah, soul destroying. The thing is, homelessness for me was a temporary situation. It was just due to hardship at the time. I am to this day not embarrassed to talk about it. I feel like it's been part of my journey, and I feel like talking about it really helps. If you are in a situation similar to this, I highly encourage that you put your pride to one side and just ask for help. Shelter is an amazing charity that you can just call, you can go on their web chat, you can email them, and they'll be able to give you advice and share with you what you probably don't know. I want people to talk about it, and for it not to be a taboo subject, or not to be a subject at school where if someone in the class is experiencing troubles at home, to not to be teased about it. This is real life issues that can happen to anyone. You could be the richest person in the world. Something might go wrong and you may end up homeless. Over the next few weeks, I have put together a homelessness series. So I talk about my own experience, and I've also gone and spoke to many different people. I really hope that this helps many people on the way, and bottom line is, it needs to be spoken about. So I went up to Sheffield to visit the Shelter Call Centre. The call centre is open 365 days a year, taking up to 1,000 calls a week. They help many families and individuals find a place that they can call home. Hello, so I'm interrupting. Hi, I'm Simone.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Is it right to have a conversation with you? Sit down. So what's the common calls that you get? So I heard it's landlord, homelessness. Would you say that was...
Well, a lot of calls we get are from people where their tenancy is about to end,
Yeah.
and they want to find out what their rights are. But having said that, we do get a call from across the spectrum. So calls from people out on the street, calls from people where they're staying with families and friends, and they need some advice on their options. People where the tenancy is about to end, or their property is about to be repossessed. People who might just want to have an inquiry about their tenancy agreement, for example. So it is across the whole range of people in housing need.
So the type of people who call, can it be elderly people, middle-aged people, young people? So can young people call in?
Absolutely, anybody can call in, of course. I spoke to a 15-year-old quite recently.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he found himself in a situation where his mum had made him homeless when she entered into a new relationship and placed him in different Airbnbs. And I was speaking to him whilst he was in an Airbnb, didn't know what to do. Thankfully, we were able to refer him to the appropriate agencies to support him. So we come across a whole load of people in this sort of situation.
Do you get some calls in where people are homeless but they don't realise they're homeless?
Yeah, many. So for example, I mean, you could be staying with a relative or a friend because you've got nowhere to go and you are legally homeless, you're sofa surfing. But yeah, a lot of people won't realise that they're legally
See, that's
homeless.
what happened to me when I was like twice when I was younger, and I have only come to the terms with it now that we were homeless. So I was with family, but then also with in BBs, and I didn't realise at the time.
Homelessness can come in a variety of forms. So you can be with friends, family. You could be in a relationship breakdown legally. You're homeless. You can't stay there. It can happen to any one of us as well. So I'm really glad that you came here today, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really nervous because obviously I think being here and probably hearing some of the calls will bring back a lot of emotions, which I might find challenging. But the thing is, I need to actually. I don't know, I want to help people and I want to listen. I think listening is really important. And I guess in part of your job, it's key, isn't it?
Of course it is. We do a lot of listening here at Shelter because we speak to people with a whole host of issues going on. A lot of people in crisis situations.
Yeah.
So the advice that we give her at Shelter will make the difference between somebody keeping or losing a roof over their head.
Right, should we listen to some phone
Yeah,
calls?
let's
Is that
do it.
okay?
Of course it is.
Great.
Right. It's coming on an
already
emergency number, right?
Okay, right.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Shelter. My name is Nadine. Have you contacted Shelter before? How many children did you say you have there? 5 children with you, and it's you and your partner as well. Is that correct? So I know you said that death threats have been made against you and your family. Who have they been made by? Yeah, of course. Have the police provided a crime reference number at all? Okay. Now, when you've spoken to the council, they've told you, haven't they, that you should be given emergency accommodation. Has the council told you that they can move you into a different property in the area, perhaps? So they would rather that you move 10 miles out of the area, but you don't want that, do you? You want to stay within the area, is that Okay, that's fine. Okay. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop you on hold, only going to be a few minutes. I want to get some advice in place for you, okay? Whilst I'm away, if you can get yourself a pen and paper so you can take some notes, okay? Alright, thanks. Did you hear that? Yeah. So that just gives you an idea.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That girl's my age.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. And we come across this on a daily basis, so there's a lot of people.
There's
in
like
the
5
country.
kids involved.
Yeah. And they shouldn't have to live like this, should they? Yeah. Right.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Like, it
don't
just hits
apologise.
me because it's so horrible to be in that situation with 5 kids.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually just made me realise, like, my family probably felt. Sorry.
No, don't apologise. It's completely fine. This is what we feel like as well. You know, this is why Shelter exists, don't they? Yeah. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and give her some meaningful advice for now,
Yeah.
because there is police involvement. Okay. I'm going to talk to her a little bit about her options, where she legally stands, and then we'll take it from there. If she needs ongoing support, she can always contact us back. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think for now we just want to give her an idea of where she legally stands and get some support in place for her as well. Okay. So, are you all right? to
Yeah, I'm
continue?
so yeah,
That's
absolutely
all right,
fine. Honestly,
that's
it just hit me.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Wow.
Come on, let's give her some help.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Hi, thanks for holding. Okay, I have put together some advice. Okay, going to go through it with you now as well. If there's anything that you're not clear about, any questions you want to ask, please feel free to do so after I've given you the advice. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we've made a record.
Yeah.
We're going to make details about what's happened.
Yeah.
Should she come back and she needs one of us to speak to the council, we will. We
Yeah.
will speak to the council about her rights. There's a record already set up for her, which
Yeah.
I'll put the notes on in a moment. And at least she's safe knowing that there's some
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
she
help,
sounded
isn't
much better towards
Positive,
the end.
didn't
She
she?
did.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Wow. And you deal with this every single day.
Yeah,
Calls like this.
call out. Yeah, we do. But it's what we do. That's what we're here for. We're here to help people, aren't we? So, you know, had you had this when you became homeless, would it have helped you, do you
It
think?
probably would have really helped. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why it's important. I mean, whoever's watching this video, give us a call. You know.
The thing is, it doesn't matter who it is and what situation it is, how severe, how less severe.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, does it?
No, it
just
don't.
pick up the phone.
No, and you don't have to be out on the street. She's not
Nope.
out on the street yet.
Nope.
Yeah, but legally we would argue she's homeless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've given her enough information to go on now. We don't want to overload her with too much information today. Just enough for her to go on. If she needs any help, she can always give us a call back.
Definitely. Oh, well, thank you so much
No,
for letting me
you're
listen.
welcome.
I'm sorry, I got emotional.
That's okay.
It just like hit me really hard because this is happening every single day. And when it was just like me back a few years ago, you know, you just don't think it happens to everyone else. And I think it's because people don't talk about it. It's such a taboo subject, like in schools. No one talks about it in schools. I remember finding out a few years later that there was actually a girl in my year who was living in a hostel with her family, and I had absolutely no idea. And it'd just be great if schools were taught about it a bit more. Kids could speak about it without being teased by their friends. I feel that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't talk about it for so long. It was probably because I thought that I'd be judged and teased, and people would, I don't know, perhaps think I was a skank for not having a home. all these things, like, I remember running through my head, and I think in this situation, a lot of people think that. They think I don't want to be perceived as, I don't know, as inferior, I guess. I just think there's such a standard these days of social media, the magazines. It's such a shame, but something needs to be done about it, especially in schools.